Hello and welcome to the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I'm your host, Ty Christensen. Indicente! I'm joined with regular Jordan Christensen.
You know Russia, the Panucci's.
And we're joined by Cameron Mickle.
Maybe my hearing ain't 2020 no more. What did he just ask me? That's what I thought.
Are you crazy? And we've got first-time guest, Andrew Kimball.
What's happening, y'all?
What's happening? What's happening? No choice but to get it on. Today we are discussing Oscar. Not to be confused by any other movie named Oscar. I don't know how many movies are named Oscar.
Well, when I look up Oscar, it always brings up the Oscars, for the awards. And so...
Which are stupid.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well said,
Tell you,
friend.
what choice have I got, you tramp?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's hard not to quote this movie because this movie. Okay, we're talking about Oscar, 1991 film. It was directed by John Landis, and writers were Claude Magnier.
Oh, it was John
Michael
Landis? I didn't know
Berry.
that. No wonder we love it so much. Oh my gosh.
Yes. See, and I was
Three
going to mention
Amigos?
that because this. Yes, this movie felt very nostalgic, even though I had never seen this movie before, and we'll get into that later. But I was very impressed with how much I loved it. So, let's go around, or let's see, let's go around and say what was it like watching this movie for the first time. Well, real quick, I should mention the actors. It stars Peter Riegert, Chaz Palminteri, Joy Travolta, Paul Greco, Sylvester Stallone.
Wait, Ty, give us your best Sylvester Stallone voice. You did?
Oh, hey, I'm just happy to be here,
No, my favorite time was when you sent me an audio clip of you going, you're like, you gotta cut my eye, Mick.
Oh my gosh. There's so many Italian names in this. Richard Forongi, Yvonne De Carlo, Donna Mecci, Richard Ramones. I'm not reading any of these names right, I don't think.
Mr. Provolone.
Provolone.
Mr. Crivellini.
Provolone.
Oh, but anyway, I gotta say, and there's a few others I have to mention. Robert Lesser, Art LaFleur, who played Babe Ruth in The Sandlot. I just couldn't fail to mention that because that's the only thing I know him from. And Kurtwood Smith, who plays the father in that '70s show. So,
Oh my gosh.
couldn't fail to mention them. Yeah, wow, this movie. Let's go around and say what was it like watching it the first time and what was it like rewatching it for this podcast. Let's start with you, Cameron.
Well, watching it for the podcast was my first time, and
Me too.
I had never even heard of this movie, and like watching it for the first time, the first 5 minutes, I texted Jordan. I'm like, "What am I watching?" The beginning's a little rough, but as soon as I got into it, I was just laughing the entire time, and I had roommates walking in and out, and they were asking what I was watching, and they're just laughing at kind of like all of the quick one.
The beginning was rough? You mean the claymation opera singer?
No, I'm talking about before
That's seriously
that.
one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, I skipped over that real quick. But no, yeah, watching
The credits scene at the beginning of the movie that no one watches.
I love that.
De la Cheetah.
But-
I'll tell you what, I watched the whole thing.
Oh, I watched it all.
Oh, me too.
Couldn't look away.
So
That claymation is riveting. Makes you think, Sylvester Stallone's in a claymation?
and then just watching it overall for the first time, it was just really fun, really enjoyable, had me laughing a lot out loud.
Did Grant get to watch it or not?
No, Grant never watches anything with me.
Oh,
Shame.
Jordan, how about you? What was it like watching it for the first time and rewatching it for the podcast?
So I don't remember if I watched it with Cassie and Andrew for the first time or if I just borrowed it from their DVD case. I know at a for a while I was just borrowing tons of movies from them because I wasn't using Netflix or any streaming services. So Andrew introduced me to quite a few different films. Hopefully we'll get to talk about a couple more of them on the podcast because they're excellent. Like The Man Who Knew Too Little, amazing. I love this film. Goodness gracious. I'm so glad you mentioned who directed it. I did not realize it was a John Landis film, which makes so much sense now. Because watching it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is why I love this movie. So many quotable lines. And then rewatching it for this podcast, obviously, it brought just as much joy as the first time watching it. So it's definitely a hidden gem. I don't know how this one got buried so quick. I mean, I don't know why it got buried, but...
Well, I'll tell you why. It's because it's the 90s. The 91 movie made right at the beginning there when there was no class in the world.
But yeah, that's all I got to say. I just love this movie.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm with Cameron. This is the first time I've ever seen this, and I honestly think I confused this movie with Arthur, which is about a drunkard and like causing trouble and mayhem. I just confused it with Oscar. Single title. It's all about his protagonist. But this, when I started it, I remember thinking like, oh, this is gonna be a straight face. But it was like, I don't know when I was like laughing at the father's whole thing. Like I was like, what am I getting into here? Like he's like, now you want Papa to die, huh? Papa, no! And he slaps him in the face. Like I was like, okay, that was hilarious. Like you had to give Sylvester Stallone another take. Like that just sounded so weird. But I was like, I think this is going to be over the top. And then the claymation confirmed it. I was like, this is some kind of farce, like a parody of gangster movies in response to things like, I don't know, The Godfather and movies like that, Goodfellas and all the good gangster films. And this is still, hey, by all accounts, a good gangster film, even though I feel like there's not a lot of gangster stuff going on. But, wow, it just looks
That's because he's going straight, Ty.
He's going straight. Going straight. Yeah, when am I going to talk like a banker? I almost feel like he's like adult Bill and Ted,
You're lucky you're talking to me today and not tomorrow when I'll be wearing a cement kimono.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, watching this movie was a delight because it felt very nostalgic and I felt like I'd already seen this movie somewhere, even though I definitely haven't. I just felt like all those films that I absolutely loved, I mean, so many films in his filmography, right? But films that I absolutely love, and I loved The Blues Brothers. I know I don't really talk about it much, but I love that film. And I know he directed that one movie, Schlock or whatever, which is so weird.
Yeah.
But again, I think that's a whole genre in and of itself. Like, it's a parody. It's so bad that it's good. Like, yeah, John Landis, man. Anyway,
Well, even American Werewolf in
delight.
London was a very strange film.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I know it's considered a classic, but I never grew up on it, so I just think it's very weird.
Oh, yeah. And it's got things in it now where I'm like, yeah, that has all the hallmarks of Landis for sure. So watching this was it. Yeah, kind of like a coming home, very nostalgic and almost like deja vu. And yet I'd never seen this film. So that was very unique. It's almost like when you understand what a director's going to do with his film, where it's almost inspired by all the other works that you've seen of his and things that inspired him to do. Like I'm thinking of like the Three Stooges, like slapstick, the slapping, all the over the top acting. It was a real treat. So, Andrew, how about you? What was it like watching this movie for the first time, and what was it like rewatching it for this podcast?
Oh man, so I really can't remember the first time I saw it, but I know it was pretty early on, and from when it was made. We watched it as a family, and we were all hooked on it. I watched it dozens of times as a kid. I'd be playing around in the TV room and just watching and listening, and it's never dull. Like you can't write like that. I mean those jokes. Holy crap! Genius. I don't ever really look at films from that kind of standpoint. Usually, I'm just there to watch it and be entertained. But to hear that it's the same writer as Three Amigos, that doesn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah.
Just awesome jokes, awesome acting, and I love it every time.
Well, Ty and I talked about this quite a bit. I don't know if it was the 80s or when it hit the 90s, but sometime in that era, a lot of comedies had like one or two really funny jokes, and then everything else in between is kind of like meh. And it's amazing that this is just like joke after joke after joke after joke, and it's just like it just.
Well, and callbacks, like intelligent.
Yeah.
I would even argue it's intelligent. Like obviously there's some silly slapstick stuff in between, intermittent throughout, but it is like it accumulates into like this crazy buildup where the joke gets funnier every time you hear it. But it's not like it's not repeating the same joke. It's because they're repeating it, but it means something else.
Yeah.
Now, right. Like I mentioned the joke of that one, the walk in the park, barefoot in the park. I talked about the joke
climbing
where
up
they
the
keep walking
stairs.
up 5 flights of stairs, and it's like, so you have different characters doing the same joke. It doesn't make it more funny. In fact, nothing's changed about your relationship to the stairs. But with this one, it's like, I mean, we could get into the plot and everything, but it's like this.
You feel tired just with them.
Yes.
You're going up the stairs again, dude. I mean,
Yeah,
come on.
yeah, you're in for the ride, and you're like, this can't get any crazier. You're with Oscar. You're like, I can't believe how crazy this.
Doesn't it kind of remind you of What's Up, Doc, too? The whole suitcase situation?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Lots of callbacks to other films that I absolutely love, and whether or not they're inspired at all by it, it's like this premise does come up a lot, and it's yeah, it's so funny. This
It has a Three Stooges
movies.
feel to it,
Well,
too.
Yeah.
because even the line from What's Up, Doc, when he's like, secret government underwear. It's just like, this totally happens when he's like, yes, this is money. And he's, and they got Tim Curry.
Oh.
Are you kidding me? I love
Tim Curry showed up.
What
I
a
bit my
man.
lip. I was so excited to see
Yes,
Tim Curry in this film.
Then the hair
didn't even know
slicked
he was-
back.
Parted down the middle.
Hello.
Hello.
He is so funny.
Oh my gosh.
He's one creepy man.
So we're gonna go around and say say two of our favorite things from this film. Why don't we start with you, Andrew?
Okay. Well, love how the characters, they all develop around each other with you as the audience member. Like you're learning about them too. You know, even though like what's his name, Little Anthony's an accountant for Oscar. you're figuring out like how many times he's swindled his boss, and his boss is finding out at the same time. Like you're watching these characters develop, you know, all together, and they're learning about each other. I just think that the way that they do character development is really incredible. And then another part of that, I think, is my other favorite part is I really like films where you can tell the actors have done stage acting, because their facial expressions, their movements, everything about them is acting. Where you can kind of get into some of these other, and I like other actors that don't have that kind of stage presence, but these guys, they've Sylvester Stallone is a great example. He's always like, his mouth when he speaks, holy crap, that's the most. It's like, yeah, he really could be claymation. Who knows? But I just think that there's something about stage actors or actors you can tell have been stage trained, that just make some, it's such a strange movie. It doesn't have like a lot of music or anything. It has a little bit of music, but it's really just about the dialogue and the way things are written that just really make this movie, for me, just ingenious.
It's great. How about you, Jordan? Two of your favorite things.
Dude, I was actually nervous, Ty, that you and Cameron weren't going to like this for a second. When Cameron sent me that first text, oh no, what am I in for? But I'm super...
Yeah, Cameron, when did you text that? I want to know.
How far in were you? Like 5 minutes?
Well, I had just gotten to the claymation part right after the dad scene, and I was like, oh, my
Dude, I think that's all of it. Like, if you had any doubt about how Screwball, that opening scene where his father just kept smacking him, like,
Kurt Douglas.
it was
Yeah,
it was taking me out of the movie.
Yeah, and again, yeah, and mine was that line.
No, you want me to die?
Do you want me to die? Father, no. Papa, no. It's just like, oh my gosh. Oh, it's so cringeworthy, but it's so good. I love that.
So I love all the characters in this movie. Everyone's a character. I mean, obviously, a lot of my favorite movies have people that are just like, somebody. Even, the whiny daughter, even though I thought she was a little bit annoying at times, she was even, I thought she played
Definitely wins the Razzie, in my opinion, dude.
No, but the scene where she's like, Daddy, I'm no longer a little girl. Look, I'm your father. I just love that part so much. Put that away. I love stuff like that. Anyways, and then obviously I quoted them at the beginning, the Finucci's. I love the Finucci's. Like, I watched this with Nick, and Nick was laughing so hard at everything the Finucci said. He's like, "This is our work, you see?" And he like shows a picture of the dead guy, and it's just so funny because
those are the tailors, right? The guys that make
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everything they said, like,
You make it sound like a normal business.
yeah.
maybe
Business as usual.
maybe someday we do you too, huh?
and when we get through with you, ain't nobody gonna recognize you.
I mean, because with that accent mixed in with what they're saying is just so good. There's something about Italian accents and said kind of like, amplified at this degree is so much fun.
Just toning it up to 11.
Yes, and that everybody's name has to do with food and Italian food. That's probably my second favorite part. I love this because every time I hear the Mr. Provolone, it makes me smile. Like, you can't not smile when you hear that. So this movie brings me so much joy.
I love it. I'll go next. I would say the quotes. I'm amazed at how quotable this movie was on the first time I watched it because, like you said, everything's over the top. So there's so many quotable lines from this movie, but ones that I'll remember. Like, sometimes I'll have to write them down so I won't forget. But like, indigente, you brought disgrace. Like, I use that word all the time now. I've used it all day long. I even said it today at work. Like, and it had nothing to do with anything that was going on. But I was like, I just love saying that. Like, disgrace.
Maybe it was a miracle, like the loaves and the fishes.
The lines delivered are so funny and over the top. I loved it. But yeah, and then I would say as a comedy, this works. I love there's the slapstick, there's the situational humor, there's visual humor and gags. I think this movie is a great comedy. I think that's my second favorite thing about it is just how funny and how much I laughed. I loved it.
Hey, Ty, as a father now, are you worried about your daughter being anything like this daughter?
Jeez,
the music you kids are listening to these days?
What choice do I have, you tramp? Oh my gosh.
I just love that she's listening to that music on an old record player, but it's like more modern. It just cracks me up.
No, it's ridiculous.
It's so funny.
Now, let's openly pray. Everyone listening to this podcast, pray we don't have children like the daughter and
this girl.
Yes.
Cameron, how about you? Two of your favorite things.
I think my first one is probably like the accents and just kind of similar to what Jordan already mentioned, just how everybody's a character. It reminds me a lot of the Coen brothers. They do a really good job at kind of just creating every character. You're just like, you want more of them. And yeah, every single character I felt like, almost every single character I loved. There's a couple that I thought were a little over the top. And then,
a little?
Just a smidge over the top, Cameron.
And then my second favorite thing is just Aldo. I just love everything Aldo was doing and just did. Just made me laugh. His accent, the way he spoke, just everything he said was just so priceless. Why he's just like, all of a sudden he's the Duke of Ellington.
Was Aldo?
That's okay. I'll get it.
Yeah. He's the guy answering the door. I love. Yeah, breakfast is served.
Yeah.
Served you palooka. Which is funny because I recognize him from The Mask, but that's all I remember him from. He's the detective in The Mask. That's
Oh, that's right.
He does some European films too.
Yeah, is that right? But see, again, this is one of those weird movies where I'm like, oh, like all these actors, I knew them from that one other film that I watched, and I never thought they did acting again, or I just never seen any of their work. That was one of them. And like I said, I mentioned Art LaFleur. Bless his heart, he's probably a renowned actor. He played the Officer Quinn. I only knew him as Babe Ruth in Sandlot. Like, that's it. That's the
And I had
only thing
just
I've ever
watched
seen.
that like before I watched Oscar.
Yeah, right. And be like, hey, there he is. There's Babe Ruth. And that's all I've ever seen him in, like ever. So I just find that super funny. Anyway,
Cops sitting up there with their sweat tacos. Just sitting up there for who knows how long.
how many money drops are they doing here, man? Got suitcases coming in and out all day. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Cameron, did we get to the last your favorite thing? I can't remember if I cut you off. Okay. Perfect. So we're gonna go around and say some nitpicks or least favorite things about this. I mean, I would just say like the claymation has nothing to do. I mean, they probably did a lot of work on that. I always remember thinking like, I feel like this would turn people off. Like, again, it just has no bearing on the movie. I have no idea where it came from. It's fine. It made me laugh. The song comes back into play all the time, and I always found that song kind of humorous anyway. Maybe it's super sweet opera, but I always think it's hilarious. I think of Robin Williams and Mrs. Doubtfire when I hear that song. Like, that's where I attribute it. Hearing that song.
Oh
all the
yeah,
time
when he's singing at the beginning of
cartoon
Mrs.
bird.
Doubtfire.
That's the song. Yeah. So, R.I.P. Robin Williams. So yeah, I don't know any other things that you guys had like.
Dude, the scene of his death, the death of his papa or whatever, dude, that was rough. I was struggling getting through that scene. I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Because at first I was like, oh, that was a pathetic. I was like, that was the cheesiest death ever when he actually died, and then he like gets back, slaps him, and then he actually dies, and I was just like, what? Oh man.
I know. I gotta be honest, Cameron. I just have to look the other way when they do the come closer, and then just smacks him across the face. I had to rewind. I was like, "There's no way he just full out smacked
He
him."
looks like he full out smacks him.
just straight on. Pow! So funny.
It scared me the first time I was watching it or whatever because I had headphones in, and I like glanced away for like half a second, and the sound was so loud. I was like, oh my gosh! I had to skip back to like see what happened.
Yeah, what? I'm the same way, Cameron. I was like, did I literally just watch Sylvester Stallone get
backhand slapped by like an old man? That old man, I looked up some like a trivia on that, and that old man actually lived for 29 years after that making of that movie, and he died at the age of 103. Super random, but
man, Kirk Douglas, he was a big time guy.
Now, I'm gonna feel so stupid. He was Sparta, right, or Spartacus?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even recognize him.
Oh yeah. No, I didn't recognize it until I saw the credits at the end. It said Kirk Douglas. I was like, that was Kirk Douglas? Like, what the freak?
He's like the guy always with his shirt off in the chariot racing. That's
right.
That's the dude.
The man's man, the manly man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird because I like I said, I only caught it at the end when they showed everyone's credits over who they were, because before you have all the credits rolling before the film, like in the opera house. But I was like, didn't catch any of that. And again, even if his name showed up, I would have missed him until the end of the film, and I forgot all the other, because I did see Tim Curry in the credits, and I was like, I don't know where. And when he showed up as the language, I was so thrilled. Oh my gosh, any movie with Tim Curry is so good.
Dr. Poole.
What does he say to that one guy? Sir, you have a dangling participle.
That's one of my favorite quotes in the movie. Watch it there, Connie. You've got a dangling participle.
That is so great.
Or there's the other one where he's like, watch it there, Connie. That's an oxymoron, or something like that.
Hey.
It's like, leave Connie alone. He does the best that he can. And Tim Curry's like, I didn't mean to. Wasn't trying to offend him.
You gotta call him an ox and a moron. So silly. Yeah, I honestly almost feel like one of my pet peeves is the fact that I don't know about these kinds of films. Like, there's probably many more of them that exist out there, and I'm like, they're hidden somewhere in a vault, and I know they would probably never enter the consciousness, but somehow it's like super nostalgic to me, and I'm sure there are people out there listening that are like, yes, I found my people. Like, this movie spoke to me, and I'm like, these are the kind of movies that I enjoy. Like, I mean, you want to talk about escapism, like, I have to watch this movie again and again because it's so weird, but it's like, it was so much like everything that I grew up watching, you know? I mean, oh, it's weird. Like, that's my biggest pet peeve is, like, no one talks about this film. How do you get people to talk about Oscar?
Well, even when I said Oscar last week, you're like, oh, I haven't seen it, so it's probably not any good. And I'm like, nobody's seen it.
Just wait, yeah.
So funny. And I thought the animation was great. I love clay animation. You can throw in clay animation in any movie, and I will love it.
No, claymation is the worst thing that exists on this planet.
I love it. I never get sick of it.
I'll be honest.
It just reminds me of Celebrity Deathmatch every time.
Yeah,
yes,
totally
that's
thought
so
of that.
funny you mentioned that.
Our apartment just watched Parks and Rec. This part where Ben spends 2.5 weeks of his life making like a 6-second claymation video.
Where the claymation figure stands up out of bed, takes a step forward, and it ends.
Yeah, and he's like,
oh no,
I
no,
wasted.
It's been 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, it was like 2 weeks of my life.
Oh my gosh.
Like Chicken Run and all that stuff, that gives me the heebie-jeebies. That's and like Wallace and Gromit. It's my least favorite thing on this planet.
Ben is literally depressed, or what does he say? Literally spiraling into depression or something.
No, he says Ben is literally depressed.
Literally depressed.
But I guess that claymation that reminds me that it kind of had its heyday, its highlights in the '90s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when Celebrity Deathmatch was at its highest. And
right. It's just kind of one of those. Yeah. I wonder if maybe that's what inspired. Like, it's like a funny, entertaining thing where it's like it was in adult movies to like entertain the kids for just a second, right? I mean, it's like it's inexplicable. Like, it doesn't make sense. But I'm like, when you mentioned the Celebrity Deathmatch, I was like, yeah. Like, I remember seeing claymation everywhere. Like, it was like always done for comedic effect. It was a big deal. Yeah. It's like we can throw this into a movie and it's respectable and it's a comedy and it does fit when you say that, but.
Yeah, now they just have it in like cult things. They kind of have it hidden throughout. Like I know some YouTubers use it and they put it in like Adult Swim videos, but it's too bad that it's kind of died off, I think. But I mean, this younger generation doesn't seem to have respect for it.
Oh my gosh, there's no respect. It's garbage.
It's so, are you kidding me? Just like you said, it takes so much time just moving every little thing. Just because something
takes a lot of time doesn't make it good.
Yeah, it does. It's art.
yeah. When it takes so much effort and time. That's right. A lot of hard work went into this.
Celebrity Deathmatch is pretty hard to watch these days.
I don't know. I watched it recently. I enjoyed it.
I bet that wouldn't hold up. I remember watching that as a kid, thinking like I should not be watching this.
The only one it's not for kids.
The Men in Black. I remember the Men in Black episode where they fought X-Files, and I just remember one of them turns into an alien and gets punched in the eye, and like, yep, never forgot that image as a kid. Nor did I forget the Mummy when his mouth opens up and flies come out. Terrifying, scary stuff.
Anyways, we can get back to this film. Are we going to get into quotes? Oscar. Yeah.
Let's get into quotes. This is so fun to get right to it, folks. We got a lot of quotes for you.
Has the best quotes ever.
A leopard don't change his stripes. You mean spots? I mean snaps.
Snaps. Provolone snaps. I freaking do the 11th commandment. Do unto others before they do unto you.
I love the part too when he's talking to him. He's like, "I'll give you a second to think it over. Or I'll give you a little bit to think it over." He's like, "I have thought it over. Now get the my atrium."
I love when she comes down. Thank goodness I'm not pregnant. What have
you two been doing?
and then when the Finucci, what are they called? The
Finucci.
They're like the Finuccis. They're like, this is nice, like a baby's behind.
That's one of my from Finucci's when they're kind of introducing who they are. You want it fast, you want it good. You don't rush Michelangelo, you don't rush Leonardo, and then his guy's like, you don't rush the Finucci.
This is my speech. I love the part too when Sylvester Stallone's talking with his wife, and he's like, he passed the physical, he's breathing. And then when what's his name? What's the boy who's gonna marry his newly found
Little
daughter.
Anthony.
Yeah, Anthony. And he's like, when he's talking to what's the super creepy guy's name with the slicked hair?
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry.
He's talking to Tim Curry, and he's like,
Dr.
"That's an
Poole.
amazing talent, Doctor. Have you ever thought of working in carnivals?"
He was so insulted.
Dude,
I
was
love
laughing
when,
out loud. That was so funny.
I love the part where he comes out and he's like, I can't remember if he's angry at his daughter, but he walks out and he's like, God, and he's like ready to swear or whatever and say all this profanity, and he sees the priest in there and he's like, gosh almighty, cheese and crackers. Like, cheese and crackers. Gosh almighty, cheese and crackers. I love that. I think that's so funny.
I can't remember who said this, but I loved when he said it. I think it was Sylvester Stallone. He's like, "You're talking about my baby's baby."
I love the interplay between Dr. Poole and his daughter.
Yes.
And that's the over the top acting right there that I love.
Oh my gosh. Sure thing,
Cassandra,
baby.
Yeah.
Baby. Tim Curry, dude.
Thornton,
Delivering
you're
that
so deep dish.
I forgot about that one. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. One of my favorite that actually threw me for a loop was when he's really angry at his two guys for losing the diamonds. And he's ready to smack him, and he's like, snaps. Just decides not to hit him, yeah. Mush. I thought that was so funny. Oh, I thought he said snaps, his name. What did he say?
He said
Mush?
mush.
Mush.
Yeah.
He says mush. Oh, mush. That's right.
And then that character you really like, Andrew, when at the very end he's getting all emotional. He's like, "This guy's a poet." I love that line. I love that one.
His character, if he's not in there, man, a ton of those jokes just disappear.
Oh yeah.
He plays it so well.
Yeah, I love even the very plot of like having a daughter that needs to get married, and it goes back and forth with. It reminds me also of like Danny Kaye in Court Jester, where it's like all situational humor based on misunderstandings. I love that kind of humor.
Love misunderstandings.
And it just gets funnier and funnier because they keep saying like, "Oh, who's Teresa?" It's like, my other daughter. You had another daughter? No, it's a fake daughter. She pretended to be my. And it's just so funny because like no one understood like at all. Like no one comes. And there's even a few scenes where they try to explain it to somebody else and they still don't understand. Like
poor Connie. I got it. Your daughter, who's not your daughter, is now your daughter. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
He's like, and the underwear is not your cash. I just love. It's just trying to make sense of everything. So funny.
That was a lovely
bless his
new
heart.
$20 bill.
And I love when he watched the suitcase. He didn't know what was in it, and he goes, "I watched it the whole time. I watched the underwear." He's like, "It wasn't underwear when I gave it to you."
I love it too when Snaps is talking to Aldo, and he's like, "Aldo, you're the witness," and he's like, "Oh, boss, you know the rules. Never witness nothing. You live longer."
Oh my gosh. Oh man, it's so good.
I still can't, I watch it, like I said, I've watched it dozens of times. I still can't figure out the shell game that's going on, how they end up with the underwear there when the cops get there. I mean, I try to figure it out every time.
Well, I thought she came back at the very end and switched it out right as they were having that conversation.
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
It's like, it's
Because
the What's Up Doc. Eventually, they put them all in
the
one
gems.
basket.
It was the gems, and then the lady came in from
Right
her
at the
taxi,
end.
and she's like, "Oh, look at it," and she switched.
But what
it out.
happened to the other bag?
I don't know how.
I mean, I just can't figure out
I
how
thought-
they end up with just that one.
It doesn't make sense because, yeah, that's true. I'm confused. I don't know.
Because she would have had to look inside and been like, "Wow, like this isn't my bag," or keep it, or both, right?
Wow, I'll keep this bag, yeah.
Well, she said the first time she said it was locked and she couldn't get it open, and so that's why she gave it back.
Well, okay, I just have some more quotes. I love the part when Aldo is like, "Let me show you the door." There's the door. And then when they're talking to Anthony, and he's like, "Now take a look, Louis, the Lug McGurk." He's like, "He died tragically at 25," and he's like, "I'm 25. What happened?" He's like, "Somebody stepped on his fingers, and that killed him." He was hanging from a window ledge at the Edison Hotel at the time. Just like everything is just like so perfectly written and just like sets up like amazing.
Yeah.
And you can't quote. There's one part you can't really quote, and it's when Connie has to give up his weapons. that scene
Oh
that just
my
like takes
gosh.
forever. Pulls out this meat hook, pulls out some dynamite, pulls out some strychnine. Like, are you kidding me?
It's like disarming Germany or whatever.
Yeah. Disarming the Nazis in Germany.
That was a great visual humor moment that I completely forgot about. But yeah, this has to be the most charming gangster film I've ever seen. Like,
Oh, definitely.
and maybe
Definitely
this
the
is
most
a film that can
PG,
only
the
get
most
made in the
PG
90s.
gangster film of all time.
Still lots of innuendos with like, you just had a baby with the new maid. Like, I thought that was so funny. The whole, like, yes, but it was when old maid. I don't know. It's so funny. By the way, was that played by Adrian? Was that the same actress playing Adrian?
Oh, was it?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was. I'm almost positive. The new maid, Arlene Sorkin, right? I'm pretty sure that's Adrian.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm gonna have to look this up because it's gonna bother me.
I don't think so.
Are you sure that what was her name? Teresa?
She doesn't look the same to me.
Yeah.
No, Ty, she's in like she does a lot of.
Well, she takes off her glasses and you don't recognize her. She's beautiful.
I just love every like
Maybe it wasn't.
the facial reactions too. Even Sylvester Stallone, dude, I give him props. He did some great facial. Like Andrew's already mentioned his mouth.
I thought he
but...
was a one-note actor. I never heard of this
Oh.
movie, and I was like, the guy did Rocky and Expendables. That's all I know from Sylvester Stallone.
Are you
And,
kidding
like,
me? And First
the
Blood,
Rambo.
Yeah,
like
Rambo.
yeah, First Blood. Yeah, I was gonna say like,
That's a good
but all
one.
those movies are this. Like, I'm sorry, but like, not to bash on Rambo, which is an amazing film. The first one. I don't
Yeah,
know
first
about the
one's
rest.
amazing.
But his performance in that one, I was like, I mean, he's not that different from Rocky, in my opinion. Like, then again, I mean, like it's
Yeah,
just like
this is a breakout performance.
Oh, yeah.
this is just
So different.
over the top. But I mean, it works and it's very funny. And yeah, I mean, you're along for the ride when you're like, this guy was such a tough guy. Like, who would have taken this guy seriously? You know, when we did Die Hard, we find out that Bruce Willis wasn't taken seriously as an action star, and I'm like, and this guy was. Like, have you seen Oscar? Holy cow! So that was some eye opening to me. So, but yeah. That's great. Any other quotes you guys?
Well, to answer your question, Ty, have you seen Oscar? No, nobody has seen Oscar. That's why.
One quote.
one
I
saw
thought that
it.
was really funny. Reminded me, just like it was like the most parenting quote ever. And it's when he's talking to Lisa. It's when Snap's talking to his daughter Lisa, and she's like, "I want to lay on the beach in Honolulu." And he's like, "Do whatever you want, just don't leave this room." I was like, that is like literally contradicting. Do whatever you want, just don't leave this room.
Yeah, and I love Andrew. You mentioned another great moment. I liked that crony that was watching the suitcases and said, "It's like a miracle. Maybe it changed, like the fish and the loaves." Like, how is that so funny? That guy, and he was being totally straight faced. That's I love that guy's character. Like the dumbest gangsta thug, but he's so honest and sweet. He was great, and he gets all emotional. He's crying. He's crying at the end when they
Don't call
find
me
each
boss.
other.
Yes, boss.
Sorry,
Yes,
boss.
yes. You can't forget the movie without mentioning that. Don't call me boss. Yes, boss.
Sorry, boss.
I love that. And then every time they'd ask for the gun, right? Because they keep pulling their pistols out, like, "Hey, you wanted me to ice him, boss? You want me to blow him away?" And they're like, "Whoa!"
I love
Stick, you want to bump him?
I love it when he's in his like in the room with his daughter, and then he freaks out because she tells him that she's pregnant, and then his like bodyguard just busts in like ready to kill somebody. I'm like, it's him and his daughter. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's another situational moment where I think it's when Lisa says that she slept with Oscar, and they both say the chauffeur, and then you see like on the wallpaper the rat's face. They zoom in on this rat's face. What?
I missed that.
Oh, yeah, that is funny. I forgot about that. There were so many funny things with everyone's occupation. I loved every time Anthony kept coming back. I loved his story and side quest. I think he was a great character too, like straight-laced, doing the dirty book, stealing.
Yes.
He first stole by shorting pennies or whatever, a dime on every nickel, and so he took 10 grand from, or what was it, 50 G's, right? Yeah, he steals 50 G's, but then he invested it into diamonds and jewelry.
Yeah, and then he's like, "You stole another 50 G's? Ice this guy!" And he like grabs the chicken wing.
Yeah, he's ready to kill him right then and there. He's like, "Can you believe this guy?" I love that. That's so funny.
"You stole another 15 G's from me."
Oh,
You
I
took my
know.
gun, boss.
Got the chicken wing. I love that. Yeah, and he just takes his handkerchief and wipes the grease from his hand. I love that. Oh my gosh. Any last minute quotes?
No, just this show shows how important communication is. Holy cow.
Yeah, right. Good communication. Well, we're going around. Would you recommend this film? A hard yes from me.
Oh, 100%.
For sure. It's
There's-
super
there's
family
something for
friendly.
everyone to
Any
enjoy.
day, any
Even if
day.
it's just the claymation intro that Cameron enjoyed so much, you know?
Yeah,
There's something for
just
everyone
skip
in
to
this.
about 8 minutes in the movie or 6 minutes in the movie, and you'll really, really enjoy it.
You got to set the stage, Cameron, because see, to me, this was immersing me right into the world. Like you said, I was kind of like in disbelief. You almost have to have that intro where you're like, oh, okay. Like, it sets the stage.
Nah,
for...
I disagree.
mean,
I
let's be
disagree.
real here.
You could
You
go
watch
with-
a
you
movie
could
like
go without-
Godfather, and you think that gangsters are not funny. I
Yeah.
don't think of gangsters as
You-
funny.
you
And
could
this is the
go-
first comedy gangster I've ever seen.
This is no. I did think about this. The only one that I could think of was Some Like It Hot. That's the only
Oh.
gangster parody that I could come up with. But
That's-
it's a
that's
pretty
fair.
good.
But the humor's not had from the gangsters, at
No,
least that I can
no.
remember.
I
right?
have
Yeah,
I have
but you're
one.
right. That's a great one.
It's not as good as this one, but it's called Analyze This. They also made a sequel, Analyze That, but it's
Oh yeah. It's like, isn't that where Billy Crystal's the therapist or whatever?
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Robert De Niro.
yeah,
Okay,
Robert De Niro.
But they kind of have that trope like through The Sopranos, right? Where it's always the gangster going in talking to a therapist saying like, well, here's all the crimes I committed when I was in. That was my best Italian accent. Thank you. See, isn't that weird? Like, why is it so great to do an Italian accent? You watch enough of these movies and you're like, indecente at the end of them. Oh my gosh. So yeah, hard recommendation from me.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Cameron, how about you, man?
Yeah, for sure.
Come on, Cameron. Would you recommend it?
I said I would. I said it's a
What?
definite recommend. Just gotta skip 8
Definitely
minutes into the
recommend.
movie.
When I think of John Landis, though, I have to quote the Three Amigos and just be like, "Good night, Ned." I love Three Amigos.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, that is excellent. Andrew, we end every podcast by sharing movies that we've seen lately and movies that we're looking forward to seeing. Do you have a list or movies that you've seen lately or things that you're
Oh
looking forward
man,
to seeing?
I've been in COVID mode, so I've watched way too many movies, and none of them can I recommend as much as I can recommend this one.
That's fine. No, they don't need to be
Well,
extravagant by any means.
both-
but
both
if
you-
you have nothing if you have things that you're ashamed of watching, that's another thing entirely.
Ty, he was telling us before this started that he was watching Star Wars and he's trying to get Bruce to watch it with him, his kid, and it was so funny because he said Bruce is like doing a pity watch with him.
He'll walk in and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, awesome. See you later."
And you're like, how are you not excited by this? Are you dead inside? You're like, don't you get it? The significant. I know, Andrew, I'm the same way. I'm already thinking like, I want to show my daughter all these movies that I love, and I'm like, and she will
She's
not
not
have
gonna
any
like
of
them.
it. Yeah. And I'm like, maybe she's a little young, but I was like, I'll show you this every year until you're old enough to understand it. You know, I love
Just
it.
like Scrooge for us. Eh?
Yeah.
You catch different things every time you watch it.
Yeah.
I love it. That's
No,
so
I don't.
funny.
I don't have anything to recommend this week. Sorry.
Well, hey, do you have any movies that you're looking forward to watching, or like either new movies coming out or something that you haven't seen that you're looking forward to watching?
You know, I did see a list of some stuff coming out this year, but I don't know. Like I said, I've hit my threshold where I can't watch any more movies. I'm so sick of just.
Hey, we're so
crap.
relieved you're still with
There's-
us, brother. Hey, we're glad that you didn't bite the dust with this thing. So,
Yeah, you bet.
well, again, everybody, write in your emails, futuromovies@gmail.com. Leave us a review, 5 stars. Share it with your friends and family. And
Check us out on Spotify.
check us out Spotify, YouTube, and Futro Movies, Hidden Movie Gems. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. And stay tuned. We're going to be reviewing Groundhog Day. So everybody, take it easy. And peace. Futro Hidden Movie Gems signing out.
Bye.
Are you crazy?